options or hope that they don't even understand. It's really important to really be a student about your illness. Included in the booklet that will be handed out with this presentation today are tips about how to choose a good doctor, how to find one, how to talk to them, how to get the most out of each doctor visit, how to ask about down the road when you know you've got a serious illness. It's very important, just like any other aspect of your life, that you understand the most you can. I have a saying I say quite often that we want to hope for the best, even work for the best, but it's also important to plan for the reality that happens to most people with this type of illness. I never want to give up hope that you're going to be the one that maybe lives longer than everybody else. But let's talk about what usually happens. Let's deal with it. Let's have it out on the table and then go on. But most people don't want to talk about the things that are a little bit scary or that are talking about the end of life. But once you talk about it, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it certainly is going to be easier to deal with some of the issues. The last sacred truth is that there may be suffering with serious illness, but it doesn't need to be related to lack of communication of treatment wishes, lack of communication about the love that you have for your family, or the lack of communication about the fears you may have about the whole end-of-life process. You know, we talk about everything except for our wishes about end of life. We talk about things we probably shouldn't talk about, except for our true feelings about our loved ones and our fears. One of my very special teachers taught me a lot about this, because a lot of times you're not sure what to say when someone's seriously ill. And many people are afraid to talk about it. And I remember sitting down and talking to a patient of mine, and she was quite short of breath. And I was sure when I asked her the key question, what's the worst thing about this for you? Which is a key question we teach healthcare providers to ask so that we can figure out what is the greatest suffering for our patients. You can ask this of the person that you care about. What's the worst thing about this for you? And I thought she'd say something like, I can't breathe, I'm worried about this or that. And she said, I'm just so afraid. And I said, afraid of dying? And she nodded her head. And I said, well, are you afraid of the before dying part or the after dying part? That is such an important question to talk about, because many people are afraid of that process of dying, the physical symptoms, the losing their family, the getting things in order, to being a burden on their family. Other people are more afraid of the after dying part. Is there heaven? Was I good enough? Will God judge me in a way that I hope He judges me? What this lady taught me, she said, well, it's that after dying part. And I said, oh, at the time I was nervous. I didn't want to blow it. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. But I know God had put me there for a reason. And I said, well, you know, do you have faith in God? And she said, I think so, but I'm not sure if it's strong enough. How common that is at end of life, to wonder, wasn't my faith strong enough? Was I good enough as a person? And I realized she needed so much just love and affirmation. And I said, hey, if you want to know my opinion, I know that if you're open to God, He's going to be open to you. That He expects us to be human. He expects us to have doubts. Even Jesus on the cross thought He'd been forsaken. It's scary the closer you get to death. But those of us that have faith have an obligation to be loving and caring and supporting to those people who are normally going through the fears about end of life. So as a gift for your family, also in these materials that you'll be receiving as part of this video, you're going to get information about advanced directives. You're going to get information about what to talk to your family about. You know, they talk about how important it is just to go around and tell everybody how important they were to you. They talk about how important it is to say, I'm so sorry for what I did 10 years ago. Take this time to get right with your family, get right with your loved ones. It'll be a gift for them the rest of their lives. I'm going to close with a story that was very dear to me and to those that experienced it at St. Joe's. There was a lady that was dying. She was only in her 50s, and she had advanced cancer. And she had pain problems, and she had really not a good understanding of her illness, all the things that we were talking about. But we got her pain under control, and then we were able to talk to her about how sick she was. And we were able to help her understand that likely her life was coming to its end. And then when we asked her the big question, what is the worst part of this for you? She said, my daughter's pregnant. It's my first grandchild. Do you think I can live long enough to see him, we know it's a boy, be born? And honestly, she wasn't going to live that long. But for her, it was a huge part of what she wanted to live for. So we realized we had an opportunity to help her in maybe a little non-traditional way. And as you can see on these pictures, there's ultrasound being done. The picture shows her with her daughter laying in bed together. This was up on our cancer floor. We called one of our doctors from obstetrics to come down. She brought her portable ultrasound, and they did a bedside ultrasound. And she was able to show her, here's the fingers, here's the toes, here's your grandson. It was such a beautiful experience, not just for her and her daughter, but for all of us that were privileged to be part of it. St. Teresa of Avila says, Christ has no body now on earth but yours, no hands but yours, no feet but yours. Yours are the eyes through which the compassion of Christ must look out on the world. Yours are the feet with which he is to go about doing good. Yours are the hands with which he is to bless his people. I really beg you to help your loved ones and your family and your friends and your neighbors with their serious illness, and to really study the materials so that we can impact suffering with serious illness. God says, when you pass through the water, I'll be with you. In the rivers you shall not drown. I think most of us think the miracle that might happen at end of life is that we won't die. But those of us that work with end of life, the miracle is finding peace and healing. Some of us get to live a little longer, some of us don't. But we can make a difference with end of life if we understand these sacred truths. And as lay people, as community members, we make a stand, and that we understand and help other people understand. There is peace in knowing how to avoid great suffering, how to comfort, provide compassion, and love others at this often trying time, and to know that God's always with you. We have a privilege to be an instrument of his peace, and we realize that in order to do this, we need to be patient and kind, not jealous or proud, not selfish or rude, forgiving our people, our friends and our families, always being respectful and searching for truth and understanding, ignoring the wrongs that are done to us, and to be tolerant of the weak. We need to be loyal and believing, and defend and care for those who cannot defend themselves from pain and suffering. This is from Corinthians, and we can do it because we have faith, hope, love from God and for each other. People ask me all the time, how do you take care of dying people? Must be depressing. You know, it's not depressing, it's sad. It's really sad. But for me, and for many of us in palliative care and hospice, it's such a privilege. The faith, the hope, the love, the reduction of suffering, it's just beautiful to see and be a part of. And to be able to walk in a room and realize suffering is going on and be able to reduce that and help a family or help a patient is almost like experiencing a miracle. And that we feel, those of us that do it, that we are really acting on God's love and living out God's love with everyone else. This is what end of life is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about peace and love. God bless you.